Hello and welcome to the new series of Relax with Watercolour. First of all, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everyone who wrote to me and who had requested paintings and all the good wishes that we received from the last series. Now this series we have a lot more new paintings to do, and I'm going to start off this week in Kerry, and the first painting will be Blennerville Windmill. Now the windmill was in its heyday in 1845 to 1850, and that part of Kerry was the main emigration centre at that time. Now, this is what we're going to do first, so the windmill. So I'm going to draw that first. Now, horizon lines, very simple way of doing a horizon line is by just running your pencil along the edge like that. Nice and simple. Keep it nice and straight with your fingers here to the side. Now, the windmill itself is a tall building, and as you can see there, you can only see the 3 wind sails. One is hidden by the building itself. Now, I'm going to just draw in some important lines here. Like that. There. That's actually the restaurant that's there at the moment. Now there's a little bit of a balcony, which I'm going to get in. Like that. Now the windmill itself, as you can see, it takes up quite a bit of the painting area. So I'm going to bring that up here, like this. Corresponded both in area here and here, so it comes in like this. Now, as we get to there, we're going to start bringing it in like that. There's a little window there, but in the Blennerville windmill, there's actually 4 windows that comes down like this, which I'm going to get in now. There's the little balcony. We'll just put a few brush strokes there, a few pencil marks I should say. Now here, this area here is where the windmills, the top of it, the windmills come from. Now, how do you get that windmills lining up with each other? So very simple, just pick a point here, put your pencil down, pick another point here. Now we're lining up here the actual windmill. Now, as you can see from the picture here, one is this way, one is that way, and they're almost opposites each other. But the main center line does go through. So you put that through like this, more or less like that. And then we've another one here which is lost behind the actual building. But you've got to just make sure when you put this one in that it's halfway between those two, otherwise the windmill wouldn't be able to go round. Now, we're just going to start building on the windmill now like this, and this one will go in the opposite direction like that. This one is like that, so we can only assume that the other one is back here like this. It has a center line, as we said, here and here. We will draw all this in with paint anyway, and then we have the veins there, which makes it go round. There was Blennerville. It got its name from the Blenner Hassett family who moved to the area way back in the early 1700s, I believe. Now, I will be adding in a little piece here, which is going to come up there as a little wall, and then if we get time we'll put the tree in, but it's not that important at the moment. Further on up from here you have the bridge and all of that, which I'm leaving out for the moment. I'm going to put in some reeds here and the little river that runs through here. Now, that's all the drawing I want to do with that at the moment. I can make up the rest as I go along with my distant headland there, and I'll be bringing back some reed areas back here like that, which I will be reflecting into the water, and then my few reeds just there as well. Now we'll be starting off in the traditional fashion. I'm going to wet the paper 2/3 of the way down, and then I'm going to put on my paint, and then we're going to start rolling it around like we did in the other series. Now, my colours that I'm going to need today, there's a lot of sort of purples and colours like that, so I'm going to start off with ultramarine blue. I'm just going to put that out there, a little bit of ultramarine blue. And this is a great colour here, it's called mauve. So a little bit of that there, like this. Now, there's a lot of white area up here, and then we go into our tones down here. So I want to keep that area up here as clear as I can. So I will wet it though, and then we will add our colour into the lower section of the sky. So I'm going to wet my paper right down to the horizon line. And don't be worrying about the windmill. You can just wet over the whole thing. Because the tone of the windmill is darker than the sky, it's not going to matter that much. It'd be different if it was a lighter colour, then you'd have to go round with the water to map out the windmill. So with watercolour, and I say it all the time, even with the classes and workshops around the country, that a lot of people make the mistake, they don't wet it enough. So what I always say is, when you think it's wet enough, wet it again. Okay, I'm fairly happy with that now. So I'm taking my first colour, ultramarine blue, and from that I'm just going to add in the mauve into it. That's a nice colour there now. It's better. That's our mauve, which we would like. Now all I'm doing with this is I'm just going to put that straight across the windmill like that. I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap there. And I'm just going to put it all a little bit there. And that's all I'm going to do with it. Now all we do, we just let this rock and roll. We rise up our colours like this and just let that blend in with the wet sky. Just going to turn that now and let that run. And you get these nice tones gathering here. We have nice bits of white coming through it as well, which we're going to keep. And we just let that happen. Now, as I said, it won't affect the building because that's going to be darker in tone. But what's very important is that you get the sky going through the wind vanes, the windmill blades. So we'll just let that settle there for a minute. Now, that's it there. Now I'm just taking my brush and I'm just going to tease that off there with the brush. Keep that area clean. Now at this stage, you would dry this off and then so you can move on to get your headland done. But what I'm going to do this time, I'm going to let that dry just for another few minutes, but I'm going to try and get in some watery areas here. Now, again, because we have the river coming through here and it's fairly white in colour, we want to just put in a little bit of water here, clean water first. So I'm just going to put that in there. So I'm letting that just rest and let it work away. And I'm just getting in this little bit of water here like that. Now I'm just taking a slight tone of colour, just a very slight tone. And I just want to get that in like this, very slight. tones. There's a lot of things we have to do with this yet, but that's more or less all I want to do with that. And then once you have it in like that, you can reflect all that into the painting by just coming down like this. There we are. Now I'm going to let that settle there, and I'm going to go back to this main area now, and then I'm going to put in, just to show you one little trick about skies. I'm just taking an ordinary detail brush. Now, as that's resting there, I'm just taking a little bit of ultramarine blue, just on its own, and I'm just going to create a little bit of a spot here, like this. So you're almost pushing aside the colours, like that. And you can let it almost go behind the windmill, and you can pick it up here again. So it's going like that. Then you just take the brush, take the paint off it, clean water, dry it. Now you can dry it either on the chamois, or you can pull it through your fingers, that I do sometimes. And then I just blend that through nice and gently, like that. It just adds a little bit more of an atmosphere to the painting and to the sky, and it gives you more depth by putting a little bit like that behind the building. So now I'm going to dry this all off. Now, we take the painting, we put it up on the easel. Now this is much closer to me now, so I'm going to be able to get in my distant headlands here and work on the main windmill now. So, again, we're going to stick with the same colours for the moment. I have the ultramarine blue, and I have my mauve, and I'm using my sky colours to reinforce my distant headlands there. And I'm calling it a headland. It's actually the main part of the town and part of the river, or where the bridge goes, and the main road actually. But for the painting, we'll just call it the headland. Now, all I'm doing is I'm taking my brush now, and I'm trying to get this in here, back there like this. And I'm just going to bring that down. And again, I'm going to add more water to that. Now we cut across our cross veins here like this, cross sections like that. And the same here. Now the beauty of all of this is that once you have this in, once you have a drawing in that you're drawing in and you paint over it, you can then rub out those pencil lines. So I'm putting in my crossbars there like that. So that's the veins of the windmill done. So now I'm going to concentrate now on the main building. Now the building is actually round, so you've got to try and make it look round in the painting as well. Now the drawing is very flat looking, so I'm going to try now and make it look like a round building. Now the building itself is actually white, so but we're working from tones of light. So I'm going to lean on the side of the blue this time, and I want to try and get in, start here like that, and I'm only just coming down halfway there, and then I'm rounding it. I'm going to round that like this. I'm going to add that in, and then I'm taking clean water, and I'm just drying that slightly, and then I'm going to fade that out just by doing that. Fade it away. There we are. So that'll give you a darker tone on one side and a lighter tone on the other. So I'll just put that back in there. Like that. Now I have my 4 windows as well. Now I'm going to come down here this time, and again I'm going to push this in like this, creating the roundness of the building. So I'm just bringing that, rounding that. Again, I need some clean water for that. And I just add that in like this. Careful with my windows. That's too dry. With painting, when you can hear your brush make a noise on the canvas or on your piece of paper, as in this case, then you'll know there's something just not quite right. It should be almost sound, no sound at all. So like that there. The windmill actually was started by a family called the Blenner Hassets, and that's how Blennerville actually got its name, Blennerville. Now, I'm going to try and keep the roundness going now. I have a little bit of blue coming in here, like that. And I'm just going to push that around. There we are. We're trying to create that effect of the roundness in the building. So I'm just going to work that lighter tones here. There we are. And don't be worrying about the windows. We'll put another colour in there. We'll make that a little bit darker. Now I'm going down here to the bottom, keeping in mind my mauve and my ultramarine blue, still working with those two colours. Like that. That's the main body of the windmill. You push in those colours like that. In here. Now, there's a little balustrade here, a little sort of a balcony. People can stand and look out and see the countryside. Just back in there, just to get that little bit of colour and tone into it. And I'm just going to strengthen that off there now with these same colours as well. Now I know the buildings are white and there's a bit of stonework there as well, but this is purely artistic. So I hope the people of Blennerville will forgive me for that. Now, once we go to here, I'm now going to add in another colour now, which is called yellow ochre. And then we're going to move back this way here and strengthen off this whole section of the painting. Now I'm taking my brush here that I would normally use for trees, shrubs, foliage, and I'm taking some yellow ochre. I'm just mixing it with the blue. And when I do so, it'll turn a kind of a green colour. There we are there, just so you can see it. It's gone a little, like a dark green. And that's the tone I want. I want that tone there. That's going to be a contrast now to the purple colours we've had here. I'm going to start off just here and just pull that down like that as I go along. There we go. And then just down there, just straighten that off like that. Now when we get to that stage there, I'm going to bring that down a little bit more. I picked up a little bit of blue on my brush. We'll let that happen. That's what you call a discovery. Discoveries are great, make you think. Now, again, just want to get some more in here. We push that out here to where the mud flats are, where the river runs in. And again, we push it out like this. Some more blue, a little bit more yellow ochre, mix the two together and pull them out this way here. And again, you can tidy up these little bits here. Now, I'm going to start reflecting all those into the water. So I'm taking my hake brush, taking those colours. Doesn't matter if they don't actually mix through. It just gives you a little bit of a difference. Now I'm just pulling this down here. Bear in mind we have our windmill in the background, which we will get a little bit of reflection in now from that. So we'll get that in here. There we are. And I'm going back to my mixed colour of yellow ochre and ultramarine blue. And I'm just reflecting that into the water as well, like that. There we go. And you can also put a little bit in here, just a little token gesture there. I take my brush, I pull it through my fingers like this, take most of the water off. And then I can go in here then, and by just running that brush along there, I get that almost a waterline effect. I want to go back up to my windmill for a second, get those windows in. I'm just going to make them a little bit darker than the rest. So it's just a matter of getting my tone right, like that. It's almost like a tooth. You don't want to fill up all the window. You're just giving the impression that it's a window. And I'm going to strengthen the roundness there. And I'm going to put my balustrades on a little bit more. They actually come through all the way right round here. Now, sometimes it's better to create, make it look like more suggestive than anything else. Oh, I'm mixing my ultramarine blue, my yellow ochre, mix them together, and I'm leaning on the side of the blue because I want to make sure that it's going to be dark in the area. I'm starting off with one of my foliage brushes, and I'm just going to get it in here, and I'm going to push that right up like this. Push it right up like that. And I've just pulled that down, so I'm making this area fairly dark. I just want to get my rigger, and I'm going to add in some of these reeds. Now, to do reeds, you really need an inky consistency for this. You push this up like this, you create the reeds, push them up. Get it reaching for the sky. A lot of people do them very small. Get them right up there because we have plenty of area to cover, so we want to get those reeds in. Like that. Get a few more in there. That gives it a better look to it. Now we just want to finish off by putting in just another little bit of a water line here. And you can do that with a little touch of white paint. Now this is called, it's an acrylic paint actually. I'm just going to use that there now with a little bit of a card. All I'm taking is the credit card and I'm just pushing the paint across it like this, just on the edge like that. Now you can just take that and just give it a little rub like this. A little bit there. And this just gives it a little bit more colour into the painting and just helps it along nicely. I'm just going to put a little tree in here just to finish that off and just to balance that up a little bit better. So if I take my detail brush, my foliage brush first, just a little bit like this. It just breaks off this whole side here. And I'm just going to put in a couple of brush strokes here of a tree. That's the Blennerville Windmill, County Kerry. And this is Harry Feeney, Relax with Watercolour. Until the next time.